Now here we are with the 4000 NEX, all powered up and doing a still demo mode. And as usual, I'm going to do my overview and my explanation of the unit's newer features and highlights while this thing is going through its demo mode. So that way it gives you more of an interactive experience, and it covers some of the things that perhaps I miss, or maybe some of the stuff that I say might become a little bit more understandable by looking at the visual aids. So with that said, let me get going. Now for this year, Apple CarPlay, which is a brand new thing for Pioneer and Apple, this has yet to actually hit the market. It's actually, they said it was going to come out in summer 14. Now they're saying fall, so that's coming soon. That is a smarter, safer way, once you have the firmware update, to make calls, use maps, listen to music, and access messages like text messages with either a word or a touch. And you can find out more about that just by jumping on Google or Bing and type in Apple CarPlay. There's plenty of information to be found on it. If you're interested in using this and using apps on this unit or any unit, it's definitely something worth looking into. The enhanced user interface, which is for NEX, which stands for Networked Entertainment Experience, that's really what this whole thing is about. This whole tutorial about this whole lineup for 2014 and everything NEX, which is the flagship piece right here, minus the GPS, which is a step above the AVH 5800 BHS. This is exactly the same unit. Chassis, if you took all the internal workings out, this NEX would be the same thing as a 7-inch flagship in the BHS or AVH-X series. The NEX is the same thing. This is again the flagship minus the GPS, because the GPS I've done so much reviewing, I could just review it to death. The only thing that's changed is really the amount of POIs and some of the firmware. But aside from that, I don't find it particularly beneficial to waste my own time or yours on it when I've done it so many other times. So the user interface I'm going to show you on screen. I'm going to actually interact with it, and you can see exactly how it works and what you can expect from it. Aside from that, you got Siri Eyes Free, which is a built-in inherent feature on this unit, which will play your Bluetooth feature and your Siri through all your iPhones, whether it be the 4, 4S, 5, 5C, 5S, you name it, it'll work with this unit, so that's awesome. That's going to give you a lot of features, especially when you utilize all the apps, which they're going to just jam right at you once you plug in your phone. It's going to see it, it's going to want you to download and have those apps, and once you do, it's going to make you utilize those to the absolute utmost, and I'm sure you're just going to be delighted about that. Sound quality, again, I think that's better for me to show than tell. Mirror link, very exciting on the back of this unit, as I showed in part 1 if you missed it. Again, in the beginning of this video and at the end, there's going to be a link to see part 1 of this video where I show you all those connections and stuff in the back. HDMI, that's the way you get the mirror link feature, which is just so over there on the screen, where you have to have a supported Android, iOS, or smartphone to work with it, which are becoming more and more, and I'm sure by this time next year, all of them will be compatible with it. That's huge. Mirror link basically takes your smartphone and puts it on screen like you see right there in your dash. Awesome feature. On top of the mirror link functionality, you also have the mix tracks, which is the second-year generation for Pioneer. It's just their way of kind of like having, to me, it's kind of like having an Apple iTunes playlist. It's just how they automatically generate songs and genres and songs, so that way it just continuously has a run-on sentence of music. I've never personally used it. I don't know if it's great, if it's not, but it's there. It's actually a free app from Pioneer, if you can believe it, so that's built in. AHA Radio is another thing, and that's an app. Once you download it from of course, online, that'll give you the latest Facebook updates, tweets from your friends, listen to thousands of stations, including internet radio, podcasts, audiobooks, traffic info, restaurants, coffee locations, stuff personally, made for you safely and easily from your phone onto your screen, even through your mirror link, right there on your 7-inch touch screen, right there on your dash. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. As far as the Bluetooth goes, for all these different apps, they also have an advanced chip in this radio, which is not the same old. It is different, it's faster, it's better, it's more of everything that you're going to want in a Bluetooth connectivity. It's going to give you better sound quality, it's going to give you more processing speed, which is not the same but works in conjunction with that. And I can tell you, because I've had my own time already to experience with all these different things before I've created this video, and I take it from me, it works really good. Because nothing worse than being aggravated waiting for a computer, and I'm sure everybody who watches this can understand. HD radio, I'm not a huge fan of terrestrial radio myself, but HD radio is a lot better than static. Of course, anybody can agree. Myself, I'm a satellite radio user, and this unit will play Sirius XMs, directly connectable. No problem with the SXV200 tuner. But however, if you want AM, FM through digital, built-in, free, no subscription necessary, just put on your AM, FM, you automatically have your HD radio right there on screen. Sirius XM, like I mentioned, it's an add-on, you can get it. Just buy the V200 and you're good to go. App radio mode, that's really, really cool. This technology is all new with the app radio that they've already came out with a few years ago, and they just keep re-engineering it and tuning it and making it better than it ever was. The iPhone 5 requires the purchase of a CD IH202 interface cable and a lightning audio cable or adapter, which is really just a sync cable, so that way you can actually enjoy the app radio mode with the later phones. Like myself, I have an iPhone 5, which I didn't have when I was doing my reviews earlier this year because I just couldn't seem to get one. But now I do. App Radio Live, you got that as well. Pandora built in, which is like Pioneer's always had. It's just even more better and redesigned again for the later NEX generation stuff. The USBs, this has not one but 2 USB dedicated inputs for your iPod, iPhones, Android connections. Total traffic, which doesn't apply just to this unit specifically because I've chose to review the one minus the GPS. However, if you use it through the app and you're using your smartphone GPS, you have the opportunity to utilize that as well as that other app, which is I think it's a Uniden, I think, which has the speed trap and radar detection app. That's crazy, and I think that that's really cool for this model, and I'm glad to see that they brought that in. Dual zone entertainment, which is nothing new. You'd expect that in this unit at least, so you can do, you know, your Sirius XM on your front zone. You could have a DVD on a flip down or rear monitor screen for your children through the rear zone, and you know, just add in our infrared transmitter sender for a set of headphones for the kids, or hardwire it through the back of the radio with some extension cables, whatever your story is. You could have maps going on and have Bluetooth streaming all simultaneously. Not through both phones, but that's a lot. All at one shot. Navigation you can get if you want to have even more zone functionality. If you buy the AVIC U250, you can plug that right into the back of this unit and have that directly connected and actually have almost 4 multi-sources going on simultaneously. If your brain can process that much at one time, you can do it. So some other highlights that I want to go through before I start interacting with the unit that I perhaps maybe missed. The HD radio tuner we talked about, Bluetooth for hands-free, wireless streaming, and all for the app stuff, of course. Mix tracks, double DIN, 4-inch high, 7 1/4 inches in depth. You know, nothing crazy there. The remote control I already showed you in part 1, which is the CDR33 remote control. App radio, Siri hands-free, Pandora, and AHA control with iPhone and Android, which are free. Don't need to pay for those apps. It also plays FLAC audio files. The EQ, which is awesome. I'm going to show you that. The dual zone audio I already touched on. The auto EQ, which is boring. I think we got a good grip on it. The only thing I think I missed is the 4-volt preamps for your front, rear, and dedicated subwoofer preamp output, which are 4 volts on this unit, and that's a big thing. Especially for a guy like me, because I'm crazy when it comes to that kind of stuff. 4 volts on this one, folks. So I'm going to take this thing out of radio mode. For instance, Pioneer did some really cool things with this that people have been bothered about in a long time. On a big screen like this at nighttime, it could be a little bit of a much, you know, in your eyeballs. So they actually made this thing where you could actually turn your display off just by holding the mode button for 2 seconds, which I can't even do on my own radio. So that's pretty cool. I wish I had that feature on my own, and they have it. Now your app screen. I'm going to tie in my phone into this through my hardwired USB and my lightning cable in a moment, but for right now I just want to kind of get into some of the basic stuff. AV means audio video. These are all your sources. Now these you can take and you can move. Say you can hold that guy and drag it up into here, and you can take this and move it over there, and you can do this whole thing. Over here, this is where the meat and potatoes of it is. Okay, you got your favorites, which is unregistered, but when you start going into all these little system functions, you can take them and start moving them in there one by one. Say for instance you like Everscroll. I'm going to turn the demo mode off because that's going to bother my review. What else can we find? Beep tone, system information. Now when I go back to favorites, you'll notice that you have all these laid out right there on screen just like that. So if you're in there and you want to get a quick access from the home screen, right, like from here, boom, favorites right there. There you are. You don't have to go through the whole, you know, thing of flipping around. They're right there. If you change your mind, you can just hold it down. Here it goes. Bye-bye. Back to your main settings. This is what you can expect to see, and you could do it this way like you would on a regular phone, or you could just, you know, use your fingernail and drag it with the little bar that was there as well. So you have your ever scroll, which is going to be your audio information, track information, which will scroll across the screen. Dedicated input and output settings, camera settings, which is just going to be turn it on, turn it off, reverse polarity, positive and negative, demo mode, which is what it was when I was talking a moment ago. Your language, these are your choices. Restore settings. So if you have, you know, a new phone or something happens, some user that got in there and you don't want them around anymore, you get rid of all that stuff from that person. There's also a manual reset button right over there. Beep tone, touch panel calibration, picture adjustments, system information, OEM settings. Now over here, this is where most people are going to spend their time. Now on this unit, on your background, you can actually import your own images through a SD card, an SD card I should say, or through your phone when it's connected through hardwire. So you got your backgrounds. Okay, you get all these little images so you can adjust. You have your illuminations, you change the colors. This one here will just toggle through all of them. Your themes, so you can have it all set up, all these different ways. However it is that you're looking for it to be, they got something for everybody. Your background, which is different on your AV screen as well as your home screen, you could have two separate settings on that. And your clock, which is nice and big, and it's nice to have choices. I've never seen this from Pioneer or really any other manufacturer. It's kind of like they give you the clock, they put it here, this is how big it is, and if you don't like it, oh well. They actually give you a choice, so that's nice. That's for your AV screen, by the way. Here's another tab. This is for your home screen. Now you can adjust all the stuff all over and make it a completely different theme. So you just visually, by taking, you know, a quick look, you can tell just by the color of the screen or what's going on, if it's got animation going on, if it's a certain color, if you're on one mode or the other for home screen for your settings or AV. All different, one for each. Really cool. Back on in there, there's your illumination colors, your theme, clock, splash screen. You can have all these different choices. This one right here is for importing, which you put through the SD card in the back of the unit, which I showed you in part 1 of the review. And you could even crop it. I mean, that's wow. Cropping, you know. I mean, Clarion had something like that, but man, Pioneer is starting to get in that as well. I mean, now, here's all your audio functionality. Your graphic EQ, you got your fader balance, mute level, which you can set to attenuation all the way, full mute, or have it off. Source level adjustment, which is just basically SLA, what they used to call it, so that way when you go from one zone to another, it's not a shock. So when the radio is on and it sounds like about 10 watts in volume, and you go to the DVD and it goes to 15 and it scares you out of your seat, this will fix that problem. Rear speakers, subwoofer, speaker level control, crossover filters, subwoofer sitting, listening position, which ties in with time alignment. There's a little spot in the rear of the unit which you plug in and then you go into a mode and then you set up all that stuff just like you would in a professional home theater application. It works exactly the same way with this unit. That's how it all works. So pretty cool. I don't know too many people that sell the part, but maybe it's going to be a big thing and people are going to start carrying it. We'll see. This EQ, I'm going to definitely want to get back into that in a moment. Hang on. Now here's your video setup, DVD, DivX setup. You could actually do slideshows, video signal setting, AV, aux, and camera. Pretty wild. So you got 3 different ways of doing inputs on this. That's again a first. I can't pair the Bluetooth probably because I didn't pair my phone. But however, I'm going to doubt that this unit does what a lot of the other units these days are doing, like the Clarion. The Clarion blew me away. It had so many users. You could program up to 6 phones to the thing. It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that. I've always seen Pioneer have 2, and I presume that that's no different. But however, if I find out I'm wrong after the fact, believe me, I will throw a link and I will let you know because I'm always thorough. I never lie, and I'll find out. But for right now, I don't know, and I'm too lazy to go ahead and pair the phone because I have a hardwired link, so that's the route I'm going to go. Right now, I want to get into the AV settings, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So right now, I have my iPod playing on there. You see my Megadeth. So I'm going to go ahead and play that real quick. Now you're going to see that there's a whole bunch of side menus going on here. So you get that little button right here for your app mode, so you could actually integrate and start doing the controlling functionality through here, your settings, and your EQ, which was grayed out prior to this because there was no source actually playing. So right here you see is a 13-band EQ, and I want to customize the hell out of this thing. So here, watch this. Why were you not? Okay, there it goes. Now watch this. You could just take your finger and just drag it, and really quick. I've never seen that before. So if you just want the old classic happy face, you can do that. If you want to bring it down, you want to bring up your mids, just like that, really super quick. Custom 1 and custom 2 settings. Excellent. 13-band EQ starts at 50 Hz, 80, 125, 200, 315. So that's really good for your subsonic bass, your lower mid bass, mid range. Good frequency ranges. Up to 12.5K, which is pretty typical. I would have liked to see it go up to a little bit higher into 17 because I personally like that sizzle, but I guess you can't have it all. But again, 13-band EQ, I mean, that's pretty intense. That's pretty darn intense. I tell you, man, these EQs are really becoming better and better. It's almost like they listen to me. This is everything, and this really matters to people, I think. Having stuff like the ones on the Kenwoods and some of the Clarions, even though the Clarion really made some pretty big changes for this year, for 2014, I think it's much better. But it's not quite there yet. Pioneer has always had this one thing right. People, they know that what people like, and this is what people can understand. Things that they can see, touch, feel, and understand it. At least, if they don't even understand it fully, at least they think that they do, and they show their buddy, and they think that they got a clue what the hell's going on. But with this, you can really get carried away. So you got all your presets, which is super bass, powerful. You can see all the bars jumping around. Natural, vocal, flat, but custom 1 and 2, that's where it's at. I mean, we all know that. Now, I want to get into all the other audio settings because that's really the important stuff. That's where it's at. We got to go back. Fader and balance, I just show you where it's at. This is what it looks like. And you could do it this way, that way. I mean, this is so much better than it used to be. You could actually, I mean, wow. I mean, on my radio, say for instance, you got to go and sit there forever and try to get the thing to go where it wanted to go. Here, you just take it and throw it around like a ball. I mean, it's like dodgeball for car stereo. Man, it's cool. Gotta love it. Fader and balance, big improvement. Good job. Mute level, attenuator, which is just going to give you a little bit of sound. I like that. Sound level adjuster. See what's going on in there. You got all the different sources, and you can see. Well, this one here, it's not going to let you do it this way. They spoiled me. But hey, it's still there. It's fine. Good enough. Rear speaker, you can turn that one on or off, and that's the extent of that. Okay. What I really want to see is the sub, and I want to see the crossovers. That's important. I want to turn that on. Subwoofer settings popped up when I turn that on, and this screen should open. Now, here's your subwoofer. Low pass filter, so it's going to basically take 100 Hertz and down and allow those frequencies to pass through that RCA preamp. And now you have negative 18 decibels, and you can actually bring this up and down, adjust your slope, which is really cool because it's so visual. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before. Low pass filter is on, of course it's on, and you could drag this along this whole line. I mean, this is really wild, man. I mean, just look at that. You got your little width. I mean, you got your slope, you got your low pass filter. I mean, this is great. Phase for, you know, forward firing and back firing, so if you have reverse or inverted subwoofer cones or whatever your story is, they got something for you there. Turn your low pass filter on or off, so when you're doing your settings, right there, really fast. Now, here's your front and your rear. It's all right here. I mean, wow. But I know there's more to it than that. You crossover. Okay, here's your rear. High pass filter on. So this drag will take, you see what's going on. Let me just, can I do this? I want to bring that down. So we got 100 Hertz. We have that on. We want to bring this. Why won't you let me do what I want to do? Okay, so now we got 50 Hertz and down is being blocked. 125. Okay, well, what happened in between? 80. This is, it's nice, but it's a little time consuming. See, why don't they just tell you, you know, 50, 63, 80, 120, 150, and etc. It's a little, I mean, I know I'm being a little crazy. I mean, I should be grateful that there is such a thing. We can adjust the slope and a low pass, high pass filter crossover all in one. And if you really wanted to really make me happy, actually you should be able to take all three of these in different multicolors and actually create a bandpass filter, so that way your sub could be set, say at 63, and you could have your high pass filter set at 50, and you could have a 13 hertz overlay, so that way you have a fluent transition between your mid bass, your mids, your full range, your highs, your subsonic frequencies, your high pass, the whole bit, and just get nuts with this thing. But you know, man, that's a lot. That's a whole lot to take in right there. And what happened? Disappeared on me. I'm talking too long. Crossover subwoofer settings. So let's just see what we have for your subwoofer settings. First things first, your lowest. What is it? 50 hertz is the lowest. Then you have 63, 80, 160. See, this is a little tricky. 100, I knew it was something in between there. I mean, 200, that's too high. You don't even need that. 125 is the max I've ever used, ever. But it's there. I mean, this EQ is good. It's probably not one of the best, and it's definitely... I wish that Pioneer would just bring back the EQ they used to have in the AVIC D3. In my opinion, that's DSP sound field processor in that unit was the greatest thing I've ever seen Pioneer create to date. 13-band EQ and fully digital. That thing kicked ass and took names. I think that was the best. So if Pioneer's listening, go back and look at the AVIC D3 and put that thing back into play. Let me tell you something. I'd be thinking about getting me one of those things. So, back in the settings, we've already covered the graphic EQ. We've looked at the fader balance and mute, sound level adjustments, rear, front, and subwoofer preamp output, speaker levels. We have not looked at, so we will. And there's your listening position. So that way, if you didn't want to use the auto EQ and get that expansion plug and time align all your speakers, you could do all this. So you could bring this speaker down, this one up, you bring your rears, you know, down, so you could have more of a front stage and do more low end fill and just do your whole thing in here. I mean, that's really something. Apply your settings or just leave it alone like it is in this current state. But that's really nice. I really like this kind of stuff, and I'm glad to see that they're making that investment. It kind of makes it almost worth it for Pioneer to charge what they are charging for these functions, because looking at the box and just thinking that it is what it is, and it's got some pretty lights, I don't know if it would really appeal to the right people for the price that they're asking for the units. But with some of the stuff that you're seeing, especially people like me exposing you to all the stuff that this actually can do, it really starts to get much more interesting. Now, as far as all the apps go, I don't want to go ahead and pay for all these apps because I'm not a Pioneer owner myself, so it would be kind of silly for me to do so. And for the sake of the review, I would hope that some other viewers that already have one, it'd be nice if they would just take a minute, upload their own information, so that way if they have an NEX, a 4000 NEX or a 6, 7, 8000 series, you know, bang out a quick little video, do a video response to someone else and let everybody else see what's going on, or even make a little playlist, so that way everybody in YouTube and the whole community can really see and understand all the little quirks and little, you know, secret little tricks that these radios have to be explored, because there's so much more to this unit, I'm sure, that I'm going to get into, and probably most people that even actually own and use these things every day will understand. With that, all the stuff that's coming out, the upgrades, the stuff that they have already, stuff slated for the fall that's coming out to enhance the unit, I know it's just going to keep getting better and better. So when it does, the best way to do it is have a community of people that really care and want to talk and understand it, and that's really what YouTube should be. So with that said, I hope people do post their own reviews and have their own little comments and help each other, because that's really what it's all about. But that's it for me. I've done my part. There's my review on the 4000 NEX.